It's time for Street Talk, your voice and your views on the issues in the news. The pyramids in Egypt attract lots of tourists, as does the Statue of Liberty in New York. But Minneapolis has a rather surprising new attraction. The men's toilet at St. Paul International Airport is now playing host to visitors from across the USA, all curious to see the stall where Senator Larry Craig was arrested for soliciting gay sex from an undercover male police officer. It now seems that curious travelers at the airport can't resist the temptation to check out the scene of the incident while waiting for their flights. Many of the visitors make a point of taking pictures of the now infamous stall. Ahmed in Cape Town in South Africa believes there are more important things to worry about. Are the American people so foolish that they crave to visit a toilet? They need to get Mad George to bring the boys home and then kick him out of the Oval Office, as every day more innocent people are dying. Parthu in Kolkata in India is also puzzled why anyone would take interest in such a thing. I'm amazed at the rubbernecking that Americans are capable of. Why on earth would I wish to visit a public toilet? Onyx in Zutphen in the Netherlands believes it's easy to get caught up in such a story. If I happen to stumble on it, I might take pictures, especially if a horde of people are gathered around taking lots of photographs. It's hard to say no when people are so fascinated by such a non-feature. Noise pollution is a distinct feature of New York City, with all its blaring horns and shrieking sirens. But in one Brooklyn neighborhood, all is quiet until the rooster crows. Well, that rooster, along with hens, ducks and rabbits, is part of an urban farm designed and constructed by writer Manny Howard from his relatively tiny 74-square-meter yard. The setup includes animal pens and crops, with the aim of living the life of a locavore, or person who eats only locally produced food. Howard was put up to the challenge by New York Magazine, who financed the project to see if he could feed himself for 1 month solely off the food from his farm. The answer is barely, because the writer lost close to 30 pounds, nearly 14 kilos, in weight during the intense labor and sparse meals he endured. Deborah in Kansas in the US explains why she doesn't live as a locavore. It's still too easy and cheap to hop in the car and go to the city and get groceries than grow a garden. I'm not so sure I could kill the chickens and rabbits. I might change my eating habits by becoming a vegan. James in Canada doesn't believe anything significant will come out of these experiments. I think almost everyone would like to think of themselves as worthy hunters and gatherers, but I fear we have become far too reliant on store-bought foods. On the other hand, Andrea in California sees many benefits from living this more natural lifestyle. Growing and slaughtering your own food makes you much more appreciative of what you have. We all need to go back to the old way of doing things. Maybe then we wouldn't be such fat slobs. In times of stress, you might be expected to grin and bear it. But electronics giant Sony now wants you to grin and bear it. A new compact digital camera from Sony comes with a function called Smile Shutter that won't allow a picture to be snapped until the subject smiles. The photographer can program the camera to detect which type of facial expression to look for, from a faint smile to a big tooth-bearing grin. For the more serious, or at least serious-looking photographer, it's important to point out that the smile function can be turned off. I guess snarling dogs can always be photographed then. But now, whenever I've had to moderate or MC an important event, the one thing I'm careful to avoid is putting my foot in my mouth, so to speak. So far, it's never happened, and thank goodness neither has this. There's nothing to say, speechless. That's it until next time. Do keep sending in your questions and comments and point us to anything interesting or amusing for Street Talk. Remember, what you see here isn't necessarily the view of Al Jazeera, and some of the content's been edited, but for time and space reasons only. And that's the talk on the street.
Don't